There's something weird that's been happening in my comment section for the past year or so. People keep accusing me of being AI. And let me tell you, it's a very strange feeling when people insist that you're a robot. If you've been following this channel for a while, you'll know that I've been making videos here since before AI really became a big thing. And I didn't start getting these comments until AI started to make the news. And honestly, it can be pretty demoralizing. I spend a ridiculous amount of time working on this channel, so for some people to think that I just use AI to do most of the work kinda sucks. I wonder if other YouTubers who don't show their faces have had similar problems. I don't have many connections on the platform, so I don't know much about other people's experiences. Of course, it's only a small minority of people who say or think that I'm AI, but I think that this is a problem that's only going to get worse. AI technology is getting better and better, and the lines between reality and fiction are starting to become blurrier than ever before. So it's understandable that some people will mistake a real voice for AI, or vice versa. And when people say that my voice sounds robotic like AI, I always think about how AI voices are already able to sound like convincing human voices, and they're almost definitely going to become more expressive. So even if I did have a more expressive voice, I could still be replaced by AI in the near future anyway. I'm not AI, and in fact, I don't like generative AI at all. I kind of hate it. And I've never even used it, not even as an experiment, and I have no interest in trying it out. I try to limit my use of modern technology in general when possible, though that can be kinda hard when running a YouTube channel. I know it doesn't help my case that I never show my face, but that's for privacy. I just don't like putting my face out there. And I already struggle enough with trying to be expressive with my voice, so having to act with my face too would be too stressful. Some people are good at it, but I'm not. I know I don't have the most expressive voice, but that's just how I talk. And even if I start off a recording session more expressively, it's really hard to keep that up for the whole session. I almost always get stressed out and frustrated after screwing up so many takes, and then I just get tired from all that. I'm a very self-critical person, and I don't especially like my voice, and I know that I'm not voice acting or audiobook material, but I don't think it's as bad as nails on a chalkboard like some comments make it out to be. I'm just a behind-the-scenes guy who somehow got the lead role. I like doing the research, but I don't especially like the performance aspect all that much. But I have to do that in order to get the rewarding feeling of completing a video. And even though I've tried to improve, it's never going to be perfect. I love sharing things I learn from my research, and even though I struggle to present them through my performance, if you can call it that, I'm ultimately happy that I get to do what I do. In my earlier videos, I talked insanely fast, and I would argue even more robotically. But that was in 2019, before realistic AI text-to-speech voices were widely available, at least as far as I'm aware. And compared to those older videos, I think I've improved quite a bit. And until early last year, I had a full-time job on top of the demands of this channel, so I was often very tired and hopped up on caffeine when recording. I think that's the main reason why I used to talk so fast in my videos. I was massively overcompensating for my low energy levels. My normal talking voice is also very fast unless I become aware of it and reel myself in. It's bad enough when people leave negative comments about a video, but it somehow feels worse when someone accuses me of being a robot, as if I didn't spend hours looking through magazines trying to find good articles, hours reading books for research and writing scripts, and many more hours trying to get the right recording takes. It's a bit frustrating. Which brings me to the second section of this video. I didn't really intend to use this to prove I'm not AI or whatever I'm doing with this video, but I kept some outtakes from a few years ago. I wasn't sure what to do with them, but this seems as good a time as any. It's actually a very frustrating experience for me to make the recordings. I have kind of a lisp that makes certain sounds hard to pronounce clearly. And my mouth often makes weird noises and ruins a million takes, like gross squishy sounds or loud clicks. Everyone's mouth does that sometimes, but I feel like that happens with me more than most other people. I also flub lines constantly, and noises from outside have ruined many more takes. It's unbelievable. And it was especially bad in like 2021 through 2024. For those of you who don't know, I lived in Japan for 5 years, and the majority of my videos were made at my second apartment there. That apartment was quite literally like 5 feet from a fairly busy road. Streets going through residential areas can be very, very narrow in Japan. Even though my work desk was on the opposite side of the apartment, the place was so small that like 90% of all cars and motorbikes that went by were picked up on my mic, which was just a cheap $20 one. Japanese apartments, at least the cheaper ones, are often microscopic. This is what mine looked like. This is the main room, and taken from the same spots, this is the kitchen, the toilet room, and the shower area. That's the entire apartment. And that was where I recorded for 3 years. Other kinds of take-ruining noises were people walking by and talking, distant sirens, and my desk chair squeaking. I had to throw away an average of maybe 5 or 6 takes for each one I kept because of noises or flubbing lines, which is pretty much the same rate I have now. As an example of this ratio, at this point in my recording for this video, I've been at it continuously for 1 hour and 20 minutes, for only a few minutes of acceptable narration. Now my problem is more just me messing up and less outside noises, but in Japan, outside noises were the bane of my existence. I would get so frustrated when I flubbed a line like 10 times in a row, and I was finally getting to the end of a perfect take, and then a loud car or motorcycle goes by right when I'm saying the last word. I cannot tell you how many times that happened. It was starting to feel like they were doing it on purpose. But anyway, here are some of the outtakes. First, here's an example of me failing to finish a sentence for some reason. I can't really explain why this happens. I'm talking, and then my brain just stops for a second, like it can't transfer the next word to my mouth or something. And to make things worse, I developed a bit of a stutter while I was in Japan. I didn't think it was even possible to develop a stutter at my age. I can't explain that either, but I think it's just because I was always stressed out and sleep deprived because of my job there, and I was in social isolation for extended periods of time, so maybe my brain just got fried. In all Hollywood, there is no more beloved performer. She has sincere consideration. In all Hollywood, there is no more beloved performer. She has sincere consideration for all. In all Hollywood, there is no more beloved performer. And the most common noise problem, vehicles driving by. And remember that I was recording from my desk almost as far away from the road as I could possibly be in my room, and through a window. If you look again at that photo I showed before, you can see a car stopped on the street, so you can get a good idea of how close the road was to my room. Here's the first one. It does not detract from sweetness and charm, nor lose her a single particle of sympathy. And here's another one. The reason, aside from the part that athletics and hygienic clothing have played in her recent... And sometimes there were very different kinds of noises, like this next one. Right next door to me, there was a guy and a bunch of children outside chanting loudly for like an hour. So this next one needs context. When election time rolls around in Japan, local politicians hire these vans to drive around and blare a pre-recorded message, talking about their policies and what they're gonna do if they're elected and that kind of stuff. And man, is it annoying. And lucky me, they sometimes went right past my apartment when I was trying to record for videos. And this one drove by extra slowly and was extra annoying. Since I've come back to the US, my new apartment is much bigger. It's really just an average size, but it feels like a mansion compared to my Japanese apartments. I actually have a living room that doesn't double as a bedroom. I actually have a kitchen that doesn't double as an entryway. And I actually have room for a couch. I still have some noise problems in my new place though. Someone lives above me and the floor creaks so loudly whenever they walk around that it's impossible to record when they're home. So that often rules out the weekends. But they go to work on weekdays, so I have some guaranteed time slots. But then the lawn care people mow lawns outside a couple of days a week, so I can't record for about an hour or two when they do that. I live in a college town, so most of the people who live around me are college students. And during the months that classes are going on, they're always getting into and out of their cars outside, noises that get picked up by my mic. I'm not trying to complain about things, but I just wanted to show that there are some obstacles to recording for these videos that you might not expect, and that more time and effort is put into them than it might seem. It's a good thing that my schedule is flexible, or I'd probably barely ever get an ideal time to record for videos. I don't know if this helps prove that I'm not AI, but I thought some people might like some behind-the-scenes stuff, and this was kind of a good excuse to talk about that too. But maybe it'll help some people understand why getting accused of being AI is so frustrating. Well, that's all for now, all you sheiks and gals out there, but stay tuned for more tales from the Jazz Age.